This is Wolfman issue 54, not 56 like I keep wanting to call it. This is a fill-in issue, and I wanted to do this after I spent most of the recent unboxing video slamming fill-in issues and inventory stories. I don't know if I really have any point I want to make about these sorts of stories. I think it is a case of how a writer approaches them. About 85% of fill-in issues are treated like a paycheck. The writer isn't bothering. It is only a fill-in issue. They didn't have to try. Those are the fill-in issues I really cannot stand. I would believe most people have the same experience as me, where when you're getting into comics, you want to read them all. You want to read every Spider-Man comic or every Captain America appearance. But over time, you end up like I am now, which is you're fed up of the chaff. After about, I don't know, the 50th Daredevil fill-in issue, you realise that you are wasting your energy reading a lot of the fill-ins. There is actually a link between that statement and this issue. This is by Fabian Nicieza, who generally writes okay, or even good, fill-ins. And he also did a very good Daredevil fill-in that introduced Bagel. And that feels more worthwhile because Fabian Nicieza did use Bagel again in New Warriors. And eventually, other writers used Bagel too. This issue follows a similar trend of Fabian Nicieza using a fill-in to explore or introduce a character. In this case, it is Shatterstar from Excellent Force. We get to see his first meeting with Wolfman in here. And that is a totally fine, maybe even appealing, encounter to present. This is one of the longest introductions I have done in a while. Our bad guys, and they are very fill-in issue bad guys. They are a group of vandals who go around and murder homeless muties and film it. I actually have a surprising amount to say about these bad guys. They are called the Vid Kids. And I think I will leave some of my points until later. The Vid Kids, they go around and they murder muties and film it for kicks. Simple stuff. And Shatterstar, he gets wind of them and he wants to investigate. The Vid Kids remind him of his home. Shatterstar, he comes from another dimension where he is a televised arena warrior. So he sees the Vid Kids as being reminiscent of his home dimension, mortal world. This is a good page here. The art is by Darren Richardson, and this is his first published work at Marvel. Darren Richardson goes on to have a fairly decent career. He works with Fabian Nicieza again on New Warriors after this. And he did that Gareth Ellis shite that they made into a TV show that I didn't watch anymore. To be honest, I have never thought of Darren Richardson as a great artist. He can do pieces that I like, but overall, I never really rated him. I like this page. I think it is a good character page for Shatterstar. It is a good visual introduction to a character. But then our other scene with Wolfman and Rouge training in the danger room is very flawed. And this is his first Marvel work, but there is some awkward stiffness and over-the-top faces. The art is overall very hit and miss. And I do think Darren Richardson got better, but I also think he never got to the point where his art isn't still very hit and miss. For balance, the Rouge on this page isn't that bad, and has enormous knockers. Hope the feminists can appreciate that commentary from me. Wolfman, he goes in search of the Vid kids, and so we have a classic misunderstanding fight between him and Shatterstar. This is good. I like this. The art is, again, iffy in places. But I think these are two characters that some readers at the time wanted to see fight. If anything, I would even say the fight should be a page or two longer. They are both very skilled combatants. 2 pages seems reserved. Shatterstar realises that Wolfman is the legendary Lord Wolfman spoken of on Moho World, and that they are looking into the same group, so they join forces. I have left it late, but I always did intend to fill you in on Shatterstar. Shatterstar is a Robert Liefeldman character, technically co-created by Fabian Nicieza, but Robert Liefeldman likes to claim that Fabian Nicieza and Lewis Simons had very little to do with his characters. And some of Robert Liefeldman's character concepts are so thin that it makes sense they are seen as only Robert Liefeldman characters. Shatterstar was introduced in New Muties 99. This was at the point where the team was full-on excellent force. Cannonballs and Time Bomb were the only New Muties even left. Marvel wanted to keep it canon to issue 100 and then end it and reboot it as Excellent Force. Shatterstar's first appearance is one of the most Robert Liefeldman bits of laziest plotting ever. He just shows up in the danger room one day. He teleports into the danger room. That is it. That is how this character is introduced to the world. He pops in. Shatterstar is stranded on Earth, so he joins Excellent Force. He is also gay. He was revealed as being gay much later, and Robert Liefeldman hates that. And I find Robert Liefeldman's denial to be the best thing about the entire character. Shatterer stays with Excellent Force for most their series, and like when I covered Bangle, Shatterer also went through a ton of redesigns with every new artist on Excellent Force. I want to give a shout out to Excellent Force 61, which is a personal obsession of mine, and it may in fact be the other reason I find Shatterer not unappealing. I will talk about that issue at some point, I'm sure. In 2004, Shatterer starred in a solo miniseries by Robert Liefeldman, and then more recently he had another one, and they are both unbelievably bad. He also joined the cast of David Peters' Extra Factors, and he was in that for quite a long time. I don't think Shatterer is a bad character. He is better than Budget Wolf's Girl anyway. But he also isn't a good character. He is usually just there. I want to point out this little sequence here. Good stuff from Darren Richardson. The 3-panel sequence of the two heroes stealthing one of the Vid kids. Not an original thing at all, but done well by Darren Richardson. There is a couple of maybe derivative moments like that in this, but they are fine. See this here? This is a poster that you could win, and I have it on me wall, just up from what you were seeing. I was once proud of my collection of retro Marvel press posters, but now they have all been scratched, or the sides pulled up by a cat. The empty spots were previously filled with things, like single issues that I like the covers of, or trading cards, or that Steve Epstein Avengers poster from Avengers 375, which my cat obliterated. We are nearing the end now, so it is time to talk about the Vid kids. Maybe it is the case that Darren Richardson went above and beyond in designing them. Maybe that is why I feel this way. But I think the Vid kids, they could have easily slipped into being an ongoing opponent for the Excellent Men or Excellent Force. They do feel like a very fill-in issue type of bad guy. But at the same time, it is a concept that gans along with a lot of what was ganning on with the Excellent Men titles. I think the reason that nobody besides me has ever talked about the potential of the Vid kids is that they are in a fill-in issue. I see these characters being just as viable as the Paraders, or the Ravers, or the Upstarts, or Gene Nation, or the Ravens, or definitely the Arias. I think if the credits for this issue had Christopher Clairvoyant as writer, people would be prattling on about all his ideas for the Vid kids that he never got to do, and how they were actually pawns of the Shadow King or whatever. They are not much of a threat, but they all have distinctive looks. To me, they have more attractive and unique designs than the Paraders or the Ravers, with a bit more to them and their story. I can see them being half decent. Splash page. Not a bad splash page. Wolfman and Shatterer have beaten off the Vid kids. But I think that the best bit of art in here is the final shot of Shatterer. I consider that the best drawing in this issue. But really, for a guy starting out, I think I appreciated more of Darren Richardson's work in this than I ever did in New Warriors. I find this to be a very, very acceptable and entertaining fill-in issue. Some other people might see it as exactly like those types of fill-ins I claim to resent. I think, or I hope, I at least managed to show that this has a bit more sunk into it than it being the Wolfman as a generic fight with a bad guy who never appears again, fill-in story that it could appear to be. 7 thumbs up.